Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Hello everyone, happy Monday. Welcome to Primetime Local News. Hopefully you are staying warm because it is, it's real cold.
Stay inside.
I know, I don't know what really there's to say about the weather other than, stay inside, and it is too cold to function. Cars aren't starting this morning. We have a very exciting show. Brett is on location talking the keto diet, which is very popular over on social media right now. And speaking of social media, that is our question of the day. Facebook turns 15 today, so we want to know, how often are you using the social media giant? Are you using it?
I use it pretty often. Not like I don't post stuff, but I use it for information.
Yeah. All right, we'll get into that conversation in just a little bit, but first let's go check in with Brett Holden tonight.
Well, if you're hungry and you're hitting the fridge and you're not sure what to grab, we speak to Kelly Bertrand here at Kelly's Keto Kitchen, talking about the keto diet, including some of the stuff that they have here, including some of the cheeseburgers, cheeseburger meals rather, that they have. Some of this stuff that you can just pop into your oven or your microwave, and you have your dinner. Some stuff focusing on more fats and not necessarily calories. So we'll talk a little bit more about that here at Kelly's Keto Kitchen. We'll have a little bit more coming up, but first let's head back into the studio where Elise has a look at your local news.
And the city is continuing its full-scale snow removal operation today after stopping on Friday. Snow removal in residential areas stopped at noon so that crews could focus on clearing priority routes due to the large amount of snowfall Friday. Today, crews were working along 48th Street between 51st and 56th Ave. Residents are still being asked to move their vehicles off the street where snow removal is taking place so the process goes smoother. And at this week's Rotary meeting, members got an insight into the Thorpe Recovery Center. The Recovery Center is a 72-bed facility that helps those with addictions. The center offers treatment programs to anyone struggling, and they have also offer a 7-day detox to those who need it.
We mostly deal with people who struggle with chemical dependency, but there is other experiences in addiction that we work with.
The program is 42 days, and the day starts at 7 in the morning and they go until 9:30 at night.
So they're in daily lectures learning about different topics in recovery. They are working with small group processes.
The facility is partially funded through Saskatchewan and Alberta Health Services and through donations. To donate to help fund a person's recovery, you can do so by calling the center. And the United Way Treasure Chest fundraiser is right around the corner. In partnership with CIBC, Treasure Chest is an event that gives you a chance to put that extra change you have laying around to a good place.
And we focus on the schools and the school children as well to gather up all of loose change and bring it down to the CIBC. And they have for many, many years helped by rolling all of the coin. And then that is the funding that goes towards the United Way.
This is the 26th year this fundraiser has taken place, and a big focus is always getting kids involved to teach them that giving back is important.
Starts at a young age, hopefully understanding that there are people out there who are in need. And this is a way that anybody can help, even young children and school children, and it does teach giving back to the community.
The sign-up deadline is February 11th, and the event takes place on the 13th. And the Border City Tennis Tournament is doing a pajama drive for the local shelters of Lloydminster. They are collecting donations of new and used pajamas, and the donations will be going to the men's shelter and the Interval home.
Wow.
It's because we just don't want to be known in town as, another sports organization or another sports group who are actually just want to get money from sponsorships, but we want to give back as well.
Giving back to the community is one of the goals the Border City Tennis Tournament has had, and the pajama drive is one way they can do so.
Well, just to help out really, and just to give back, because, even the roughest of times, Lloydminster is one tough city. Like, everyone pulls in together, and this is our own small way to say thank you to all the people of Lloyd and its area.
Donations are being accepted until the end of the month. And the need for more RCMP officers in the Border City was an area of concern in the early 2000s, but as our Brett Holden explains in this week's retrospect, that need was met.
Premier Stelmach's promise to add 300 more officers to Alberta's police forces will bring 2 new faces to the border city.
What it means is Alberta's supplying some extra money to us, but we have to actually increase the detachment strength to obtain it. So in terms of a monetary thing for us, for the same amount of money, Lloydminster is getting a higher level of service, basically, by going with the extra 2 members. So.
The addition will allow 2 members of the detachment to be designated for forensics. This increase in manpower will add a slight cost for the city, but the boost in officers is more than needed.
And I think what's really important that the RCMP continue to gear up and train troops so that we can actually provide 37 officers on the ground, as you say, in Lloydminster.
These positions initially will be paid for by the Premier of Alberta's initiative. So again, we're a growing city, and more additions to the detachment is again welcomed.
And as that need for officers has been met, the RCMP say they are always looking for recruits to come to the border city.
We always have a need for more boots on the ground. Every police service in the country will tell you the same thing. We're always inspecting an influx of new members. Sometimes members sell their houses, and we're just waiting for more members to show up after they sell their house.
In 2009, there was also a need for a new detachment, and Constable Hagel says the opening of the RCMP's new home allows for more flexibility.
Yeah, we definitely have a lot more room for expansion, a lot more room for growth. We have more room for our new members coming in. We have more room to effectively police the community. We have more cells in the old detachment. And we have, like I said, a lot more room for expansion if need be.
For This Week in Retrospect, I'm Brett Holden.
Retrospect this week is brought to you by Webb's Ford. Worth your while to drive the extra mile. Webb's Ford in Vermilion.
And now we're going to go to Brett Holden, who is on location.
I'm joined now by Kelly Bertrand here at Kelly's Keto Kitchen. Now, Kelly, let's talk a little bit about, first off, just keto in general. What is a keto diet, and what goes into kind of a keto dish as well?
A keto diet, it's just basically getting back to the basics, getting healthy, and getting off sugar is the main thing. So you change your diet to fats. You train your body to start burning fats rather than sugar. So a typical keto diet would be approximately, 70% fat, good fats, and then you'd go 25% is your protein and then your carbs. So, and the carbs is the other thing you watch in your keto diet because that can spike your insulin, which can get your body to shove natural sugar up to your brain basically, and you want it to function with fat.
Now, I notice with keto, a lot of the kind of programs are like 28 days, kind of more limited times. What's kind of the deal with the kind of limited time keto diets, and is that more of a the right way to go, or kind of longer is kind of better?
Longer is always better. It's a lifestyle, right? The 28-day programs, it's going to be like any fad diet. You're going to drop, say, 15 to 30 pounds, depending on the person, but you're going to gain it back. As soon as you go back to sugars, it's like anything. And keto is a lifestyle. It's all about organic foods, natural. I try to source my meat locally, grass-fed. So it tends to be a little of a pricier product,
Perfect. We'll have a little bit more coming up from here at Kelly's Keto Kitchen. But first, let's head back into the studio where Michaela has a look at your weather.
All right, thank you so much, Brett. Sitting at minus 26, we've already lost a degree since we started the broadcast, feeling like minus 29 degrees out there. Thankfully, we did not beat this record of minus 33 set back in 1988. But we could be breaking some records this week, that is for sure. As we look to the satellite radar, still some patches of some snow falling in our area, and that is expected to continue overnight. And then when we look to our watches and warnings, all of Alberta pretty much under that extreme cold warning, and that is extending east into parts of Saskatchewan. Areas like North Battleford, Macklin, Maidstone, not currently under that effect, but it is still very cold. As we look to our numbers, minus 27 in Edmonton, minus 27 also in Edson, Whitecourt, sitting at -27 as well. -28 in Athabasca. Cold Lake a little bit warmer, sitting at -26. -26 also in Meadow Lake. Saskatoon at -24 with Melfort sitting at -27 currently. As we look to the broadcast area, North Battleford going to get into the 30s overnight, so -32 with some snow overnight as the winds come out of the west-northwest. Tomorrow, not much warmer, sitting at a daytime high of -25. Going to feel close to that -40 range overnight and into the early hours of tomorrow. So across the map, frostbite is imminent, taking up to possibly could be happening within 5 minutes. So bundle up out there. Cold Lake overnight, -34 with some snow still expected to fall in the area. -24 is the daytime high tomorrow. -33 for us here in the border city. Going to feel closer to that -40 range with the daytime high reaching -26 tomorrow. -33s are overnight low tomorrow. And then Wednesday, even colder as we hit -27, -34 for the overnight low. And then we'll gain a couple degrees on Thursday at -25 with -33 as our evening low. As we look to our averages, -9 and -18, so we're sitting nowhere near here, and these temperatures are expected to stay until at least mid-February. I'll have your 7-day forecast coming up in just a little bit.
Welcome back. Producers now have a new tool to project prices for selling cattle. Gerard Lampo finds out there's an app for that too.
It links into, the U.S. futures market. As much as people may know or not know, how much that influences everything.
Brian Perea with Canfax is sharing on the new look Canfax app as cattle producers have an in-the-palm-of-your-hand way to track cattle prices.
The U.S. futures, adjusted for the Canadian dollar, and then we do some calculations in the background around basis and things like that to basically apply what the market is saying roughly where calves can be for prices projected forward. And it's day to day. We can be sitting here today thinking about or looking at what potential prices are for fall calves of 2019, which is a fairly unique tool for the Canadian cattle industry.
Several buzzwords fly around in the markets, including basis.
And we've seen that fluctuate a lot over the last year. Basis realistically or simplicity, we kind of just compare, well, how do Alberta prices or Canadian prices compare to sort of U.S. prices? Traditionally, we're usually at a discount. You take the U.S. price, adjust for the Canadian dollar, and usually our prices turn out to be lower than the U.S. But over the last year, or even couple of years at times, we've been at a premium to the U.S. market.
Perea says that has had a huge impact on our projected prices in Canada. Through most of 2018, cattle producers enjoyed premiums, resulting in higher prices for calves.
We've seen that come back, though. You don't want to, that's sort of a best case scenario. So if you're sort of doing some planning going forward through 2019, over the last few months, we've kind of moved down to a small discount. So historically still pretty good, but we have lost the premium and we've moved to a small discount to the U.S. And that can change calf prices 10, 20, even over, up to 30 cents a pound, depending how strong or what you want to estimate the basis to be.
The price of feed is another variable, especially barley, which factors into the cost of gain. Feedlots buying cattle will bid according to the price of grain.
So if grain goes up, they basically have less to bid on your calves, and if barley gets really cheap, then they've got, a few more dollars to bid on calves. So that's how we ask for the price of barley in the app, and then we make other assumptions around calculating the cost of gain depending on what that barley price is.
The app also has price insurance tables and can do price projections for any type of cattle. It's free for producers to download off the Canfax website. Gerard Lampow, Primetime Local News.
And that's your egg news. Sports is next, but first we'll take a look at your egg prices.
Every member of the City Centre Auto Body team has been through extensive training. We're constantly upgrading our team's education to reflect current collision repair technique.
Taking a look at your local sports now. This weekend, the Lakeland Rustlers basketball teams made the most of their matchups against the low-ranked Kings Eagles squads, moving up in the standings. Now, both programs are ready for a weekend off before the intensity ramps up into March. And Josh Ryan has more.
Smooth wouldn't describe the women's basketball team's games against Kings this weekend, but getting the 2 wins while being able to experiment with different lineups was a huge positive as the group momentarily takes first place in the North Division.
We got to go with some small lineups, we got to go with some big lineups and get some girls some reps that, you know, down the stretch they might not get as many minutes. So it's kind of a nice way for us to see what we have.
Depth remains a strength for this squad, while center Bilge Topaloglu continues to improve her inside game.
I'm working hard on my post-up moves, and like my coach told me the same too, like I need to play more inside than shooting, and I try to do my best.
The team now sits first in the division, but are only 1 win ahead of 5th place, which means the intensity in practice must stay high heading into their final critical games of the season.
We have to make sure that we're playing our hardest on each other in practice, just so it's the same as in a game, and we're prepared for that. And I think as soon as we're playing really good defensively, it translates to offense, and that's when we're playing good, is when we're keeping teams under 60.
Every game this semester has been a playoff game for us, so we just continually focus on ourselves and not really look at the standings right now.
The men have a championship spot booked in March, which perhaps explains some of their lapses in focus on Saturday.
So we just came out kind of expecting them to roll over, and they fought hard, especially in the first half, and then we just had to step it up. We just turn it on when we want to, but we're not very consistent with going full 40 minutes, which we need to.
One positive was the performance of role players who had to shoulder more minutes with multiple injuries to the starting lineup.
Really trying to win every minute of the game instead of just going on a stretch and then being content with that.
The bye week comes at a great time, but like the women's team, keeping focus and intensity throughout practice remains a priority.
So you never know when we're going to need whatever player. A player like Kobe could come in and make huge shots for us in big important games even if everyone's healthy. So him getting a little extra minutes here or there if we're missing a key man, that's a positive for us to build on and keep getting better as a full team.
Josh Ryan, Primetime Local Sports.
Lakeland volleyball did not fare as well over the weekend after the women defeated the Kings Eagles in arguably their best performance of the season. They were unable to maintain that performance in Edmonton, falling in 5 sets. The Rustlers couldn't slow down Eagles outside hitter Jaden Boynkus, who posted a whopping 31 kills on the evening. That drops Lakeland to 19-3, meaning the Eagles will have to lose at least once more for the Rustlers to have a shot at first place by the season's end. And the men, meanwhile, were dealt a heavy blow, losing in straight sets at home and 4 sets on the road. The sweep keeps the Eagles alive, which means Lakeland will wait and watch during the bye week to see if they have qualified or if they need to win against Nate on Valentine's Day. And the PWM Steelers made waves in Winnipeg this weekend, capturing gold at the Female World Sports School Challenge. The Steelers went undefeated against some of the best women's hockey prep schools in North America before defeating the St. Mary's Flames 2-1 in overtime. This continues strong season for the club, currently sitting second in Alberta's female midget AAA league. And now we're going to head it back to Brett Holden, who is on location today.
Joined once again by Kelly Bertrand here at Kelly's Keto Kitchen. Now, Kelly, we have a couple of dishes that you have here that are specified to the keto diet, including some sweets. So let's talk about the sweets here.
Well, the sweets are basically for people that are first starting out in keto or are having those, those cheat times or, cravings. So the keto desserts have no sugar in them. They're basically 0 on the glycemic index. So I use monk erythritol, and I use coconut flour and almond flour. So people who are celiac, diabetic, I've got a lot of those people that will come too. So, and they're nice to take off those, especially lemon. Everybody loves lemon and cinnamon. Did I say that right? Okay.
No, so let's move on to we have some of the warmer stuff here as well. And I see a lot of cheese and a lot of chicken. So what's kind of the background on those?
Again, in keto, it's getting those fats up. And so I always look for the dishes, as I said, 70% fat. So I do dairy-free, and then to get your fats out, you're cooking in a lot of coconut oil and stuff like that. But this one here, I just made these this weekend. So the meals are in the freezer here every week. So I do 3 different dishes every week. And so this one is the pesto chicken with olives and what is it, feta cheese, and a nice whipped cream sauce that's slathered with butter. So in keto, you do not count calories. So you're counting your fats, your proteins, your carbs. So for women, we stay to, if you're on a weight loss program, you're looking at 15 to 20 carbs a day. And then when you're just maintaining, you go up to 25. Men are a little higher. You know, I've got some bodybuilders that I feed, and they love their desserts too. And it's just to help them.
Perfect. We'll have a little bit more coming up from here at Kelly's Keto Kitchen. But first, let's head back into the studio where Michaela has a look at your weather.
All right, thank you so much, Brett. Starting it off with this really cool shot of some buffaloes braving the very cold temperatures over the weekend. Thank you, Phil, for sending that in. As we look to our watches and warnings, pretty much all of Alberta currently under an extreme cold warning, and that is extending out east and up into the more northern parts of Saskatchewan. So areas like North Battleford and Maidstone not currently affected by that extreme cold warning, but it is still cold in those areas. As we look to the numbers, minus 27 up in St. Paul, minus 26 for Bonnyville, minus 25 in Lac La Biche currently, minus 26 for Cold Lake. And then as we move even further east, it's still very cold, minus 26 in St. Walburg, minus 25 for North Battleford. Some areas going to feel like minus 40 overnight. But look at this, Uranium City sitting at minus 38. That's before the wind chill, minus 40 up in Stony Rapids. It is very cold now. Frostbite could take just a few minutes out there, so do bundle up, especially your exposed skin. Get inside right away. Minus 27 in Fort McMurray with Grand Prairie sitting at minus 37. And then as we look further down south, still cold, but not quite as cold. Minus 26 for Lethbridge, minus 23 in Medicine Hat. And then as we turn into Saskatchewan, numbers still very cold. Minus 24 in Regina with Estevan sitting at minus 26. Numbers tomorrow, we are getting not warmer. Minus 26 is our daytime high tomorrow, and that's where we're going to be sticking for most of the week. North Balfour going to see minus 25 tomorrow. Lac La Biche minus 24. Minus 24 also in Bonnyville, Cold Lake, and St. Paul reaching a daytime high of minus 26. As we look to the kids off to school tomorrow, going to be a cold start, feeling like minus 40 first thing in the morning, and then when they head home, minus 29 or over the lunch hour, and then minus 27 when they head home. Here's a look at our 7-day forecast. It is not going to be warm. The warmest is next Monday at minus 20. As you look, our numbers are hitting almost into those mid minus 30 range. So frostbite is going to be imminent through the entire week. It is going to be very cold. So if you see anyone out there in distress, make sure you're calling for help and make sure you are bundled up yourself.
And now we're going to go to Brett Holden, who is on location today.
I'm joined by Kelly Bertrand once again here at Kelly's Keto Kitchen. Now, Kelly, we were talking a little bit before we started here just about fasting in keto. So what does that mean for the food and kind of your intake as well?
In the fasting process in keto, there's different, disciplines. There's people that'll fast for 2 days straight and then go straight into your very high fat contents. Me right now, because I was a bad girl over Christmas, got into some carbs. I'm doing a 30-day fast over, and it's a cleansing process. So you eat all your food groups within 8 hours, and then you don't eat anything for 16 hours. So this was my lunch today. So it's a homemade bone broth, chicken bone. So there's a lot of fat in there. There's coconut oil in there, bacon. There is zucchini, and then there's things what we call our fat bombs, just because you need to keep your fats up high. And those are only like, say, 1 carb. That's the other thing we're watching is our carbs. And those fat bombs take the edge off, but they also help make sure you stay high in your fats. So it's called macros. And a lot of people, you go online, you type in macros, and it asks you your weight, your height, and it'll tell you what you should be eating and what percentages.
So you mentioned something in the last one in a little bit ago just about the calories, how we're not really watching calories. So how does that go into just the keto diet and what we're watching for instead?
Yeah, well, keto is all about the fat. So like the one dinner there. I showed you the cheeseburger one. That one is like over 1,000 calories per serving because there's high in fat. And like we say, calories don't matter. It's keeping your macros, keeping your fat equal to your protein, equal to your carbs, keeping that nice and even, and you'll shed weight naturally. It's not, and I say it's not a fad, it's a lifestyle.
Perfect. We'll have a little bit more coming up from here at Kelly's Keto Kitchen. But first, let's head back into the studio where Michaela and Elise are talking about your question of the day.
All right, well, as we heard just a little bit ago, Facebook is now 15. I cannot believe it. 15 years old. So that was our question of the day. As it's turning 15, how often do you use the social network? Ironically, most of our comments today came from Twitter. But I want to read, Sean says he's literally zombified. He needs to be saved. Naomi says she uses it quite often as she lives far away from her family, and it's an easy way to stay caught up with them. And Darren saying, too much. I agree. I think Facebook is now a place to kind of connect with your friends and family if you are far away, but it's not used like it used to be. I wouldn't say.
Yeah, I would agree. I think now Facebook is more about staying in touch with like local community events and your friends and your family, whereas when it first started off, it was almost just about you and your profile.
Yeah, and it was about how many friends you had and all that. It's definitely changed. I'm actually surprised it was able to sustain 15 years. I think that's incredible. Yeah, pretty big achievement for a social network.
Totally.
Let's turn to our pets of the day now. Look who we have. This is Kona.
So
very
sweet.
Cute. Yeah. That was sent to us by Kayla. Thanks so much for sending that one in. This is Finn. This is such a cute little picture. That was sent to us by Katie. Very cute. Looks very soft. This is Mittens. Mittens is eating some yogurt right off the counter. I love it. That's sent to us by Cheryl. Next up, we have Mrs. Frozen, who is very happy to be in that bed. That was sent to us by Cassie. And then last but certainly not least, we have Taz. He's all bundled up for this cold weather. That was sent to us by Darlene. If you have a pet you would like to see here on Primetime Local News, send us a picture. Please include your pet's name. And if they are selected to be on the show, you'll be entered to win a $50 gift card to the Lloydminster Pet Pad.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram to have them featured on Pet of the Day. Your name will be entered into a weekly draw for a gift certificate from the Pet Pad.
From Lloydminster Co-op, and we're very happy to have you here today because you're talking about a very important event, Kindness Wins. And do you want to just kind of touch on what that event is and what it means for the community?
You betcha. So Lloydminster District Co-op is very proud and very excited to be the sponsor of the annual Pink Shirt Day campaign here in Lloydminster. Yep. This is our 9th year sponsoring this. Wow. And we rebranded it in 2017 away from the anti-bullying message into the message of kindness wins. We figured it was a little bit easier to tell people what they should do versus what they shouldn't.
Absolutely.
And therefore Kindness Wins was born. Yeah. So we're really excited. February in our world is a month of pink. It's the month of kindness, and we're really excited to bring that message to the community.
Absolutely. And so with Kindness Wins, what does it exactly mean? Is it just one day of an event, or how do people get involved? And I know they can buy t-shirts and things like that, but is there other parts to this event, basically?
Yeah, you betcha. Yeah. So we like to say kindness matters all year long. It's not just a one-day thing. Yeah. But specifically, Pink Shirt Day occurs across Canada. It's a national day, and people do wear the color pink specifically in solidarity against bullying. So on the last Wednesday of February, this year it's February 27th, we encourage people to wear their pink gear and to stand up against bullying. However, like I said, it's a message that we want to express all year long.
Absolutely.
It's a lifestyle that we're trying to engage people in.
Yeah, absolutely. And with I want to talk about when you buy a shirt, it's nothing really goes to co-op, like where the proceeds are going to something that's pretty important. So if you want to kind of touch on that as well, so then people kind of know that it's not just like to buy things and the money, it's going to a good cause.
Absolutely, you betcha. So when we started out, we actually supported a few different charities as the years have gone on. We've supported the Lloydminster Big Brothers and Big Sisters, the Lloydminster Community Youth Center, and most recently Beyond Borders Circle of Change.
Cool.
And that's a nonprofit organization that exists in Lloydminster. It's formed by several different charities, as well as the Lloydminster Public School Division and Lloydminster Catholic School Division.
Okay.
And their work focuses on bringing anti-bullying training into the schools. So they actually teach the students a Red Cross program called Beyond the Hurt. As well, they've started administering Kindness Wins grants.
Oh, cool.
So schools can apply to receive funding through this granting process, which is facilitated by Beyond Borders, and do kind acts in their community. It's just been really cool to see.
Yeah, so that's where the funding is going this year.
You betcha. Beyond Borders Circle of Change. So we've got 2 different products for sale at the co-op, at our gas stations and our grocery stores. We have T-shirts, which are $10, and $1 from each T-shirt goes to Beyond Borders. As well, we have hoodies. They're $20 each, and we donate $2 per hoodie to that cause.
Very cool.
And the most exciting thing, honestly, is the fact that in 9 years, we've raised almost $25,000 for local charities.
Amazing.
So we're really excited to top that up this year.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So do you have a set goal that you want to reach this year, or is it
we
just
always
kind
want
of
to go
like,
bigger. Yeah,
right, of course.
absolutely.
Yeah.
We always want to go
Yeah.
bigger. We've averaged around $4,000 a year, which is, I mean, it's just fantastic.
Yeah.
So not only can you wear the color, you're standing up for kindness, but you're supporting a local charity in the process.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming in and
Thank you.
talking about Kindness Wins. Definitely go out and get a T-shirt and support, and make sure you just spread the love all February, right?
Yes.
So awesome. Thank you so much for coming in, Christina.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
No problem.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery and Furniture House, downtown Lloydminster.
And welcome back to Primetime Local News. More sports talk between myself and Buck. We're going to now get into the local scene, and we might as well start out with one of the few good pieces of news from the past weekend. Obviously, there's a lot of losing, unfortunately, for teams on the ice, but the Steelers had an excellent weekend. The PWM Steelers winning a couple of games, but the Elite Steelers go to the Female World Sports School Challenge out in Winnipeg.
Glad you got that out.
Yeah, I didn't get it out completely smoothly, but they win 5 games in a row to take home gold against really elite prep schools.
Yeah, elite prep schools from across Western Canada. And they've gone to a few tournaments and have done very well. And they're doing very well during the regular season. So when you go to an elite tournament like that, you play against competition you normally don't play against in the league. So you're challenging yourself. You don't know what to expect. You want to see how you measure up. And they measure up very well. And great for the Steelers. And more than anything, it tells you something about the Steelers program. They're a prep school minus a school, really. They're a prep program. And they're a hockey program that had some challenges a few years ago, and they didn't know if they were going to have a program. So hats off to Randy and everybody else from the Steelers and put everything together for the Steelers, and they were winning on the ice, and it's great to see because it wasn't that long ago we didn't know what the future was going to be for the Steelers. So nice to see that they're going on the road, they're going to Winnipeg, and they're playing against elite competition, and they're winning.
Yeah, quite the accomplishment again for a program of this size, especially that they're competing against teams. St. Mary's the team they beat, obviously coming from a much bigger center than there. Switching back, unfortunately, quickly to some less positive news. Junior A Cats losing a couple of games over the weekend. Some competitive contests, but unable to get any real momentum going in those games.
Yeah, more than anything, it's tough. And it's a tough time of the year right now for the Bobcats. You're playing the final games of your regular season. You know you won't make the playoffs. You're not even contention to get into a playoff spot. So right now, more than anything, it's an opportunity for the Bobcats to play some young kids. And those young kids are playing well for the Bobcats right now. And it's great to see, because more than anything, that tells you right now, Josh, that there's some future for the Bobcats, and those young kids are coming through for the Bobcats.
And with the Bandits also in action this weekend, unfortunately not getting the results on the road, that does that sets you guys back a little bit in terms of this playoff race, just in terms of the seeding you'll get. Yeah,
more than anything, they know it's either going to be Killam or St. Paul in the first round of the playoffs. The Bandits know they won't get home ice advantage, so they're going on the road for the first 2 in either Killam or St. Paul. And a tough loss against St. Paul on Friday. A good effort Saturday in Killam, in a very hard rink to play in, very emotionally and high energy kind of rink, and the fans are right on top of you, sometimes almost too close. But it was a good game on Saturday, not the result they wanted. But I kind of like the Bandits matchup against Killam better than against St. Paul. But a couple of big games this weekend against Wainwright and St. Paul, two real tough competition, and we'll see how they fare.
Absolutely. More losing, just to take note of the AAA Bandit Energy Bobcats also losing, especially a tough one on Sunday afternoon, losing 4-3. That will set them back a little bit in the playoff race as well. Let's actually just have an extended promo now, because you got another great sports show coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, Tuesday night sports show live from the Canadian Brew House and Rail Country 95.9 between 6 and 7. We'll be joined by Jason Greger from TSN Radio in Edmonton, talking about the Oilers, two tough losses in the weekend, also all the changes coming up there. And also we'll talk to Jim Toth from TSN Radio in Winnipeg. Jets are playing well, but there's a lot of talk that Patrick Laine is struggling, and he'll talk about what they have to do to get Laine going. Also, we'll talk with our football insider Paul Waldo, a three-time Grey Cup champion, about the Super Bowl, as well as the CFL, who's now talking to Germany about more players coming from Germany to Canada, which is unique. And also we'll talk PWM Steelers too.
Well, thanks, Bucky, for that and for joining in the Sports Talk today, as always. That's it for us. We'll have more coming up on Primetime Local News.
Well, counting calories are normally something that you are paying attention to if you are trying to cut some weight or lose some weight, but with the keto diet, as we learned today here at Kelly's Keto Kitchen, the fat content is more something that you are paying attention to and not even really looking at the calories, which means that you can enjoy foods like fudge as well. This fudge and some other foods here at Kelly's Keto Kitchen are made with flours like coconut flour, which means that people with celiac disease or have gluten intolerance or diabetics as well can enjoy food like this, which I am going to do right now. Delicious. Unfortunately, there's no more for you guys here in the studio, so I'm going to enjoy this fudge. You'll see me tomorrow on the show, but let's head back into the studio where Michaela and Elise will wrap up tonight's show.
All right, thank you so much, Brent. It is a cold week ahead of us. We are sitting in the mid to 30s here for our overnight low, hitting minus 33 overnight tomorrow with the daytime high reaching minus 26. We're going to feel closer to that minus 40 range overnight and into the early morning hours. So bundle up out there, and if you see anyone in distress, call for help, as frostbite is very imminent in just a few minutes there. We'll see you here tomorrow, everyone. Stay safe.